Okay, it's 7:05. We've got quite a few people on. Jim, whenever you're ready.
Okay, let's get started. So thank you everybody for attending this really important topic. I saw that this was had been started with Scott in Cook County. It's kind of a continuation of what Joyce Slavic and I had been doing with the disinformation at school boards for the last 15 years or 15 months. And what we saw was protests against LGBTQ, critical race theory, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of hate. And so one place that this really presents itself is in school boards. So Scott is going to do an overview of what Cook County is doing. And for those of you who are not in Cook County, the reason that we wanted to do this for everybody is so you can see what Cook County is doing and hopefully support this in your county. So the link to this, the Cook County website, United Against Hate, is right down here, right underneath the logo. And what we're going to do next is Bill Davis is going to just explain a little bit about NWSOFA and our different issue groups.
Yeah. Well, welcome. It should be a great evening. Just a little bit of background about NWSOFA, which stands for Northwest Suburbs Organizing for Action. We are an indivisible chapter, one of 6,500 across the country. We cover a 6-township area. We have approximately 5,200 members from that area. And when we say members, we do mailings to them. They don't all show up at a meeting, thank God. And we are organized on what's called a twin snowflake principle. We have very short lines of communication back and forth, but we are organized in 2 snowflakes. The one on the left, when you're looking at your screen, is our communication snowflake. The one on the right is our issue snowflakes. Now, our issue snowflake all started with gun violence prevention during Sandy Hook back about 11 years ago. And then we started adding different groups, Conversation Z, which was organized around the youth, the ACA healthcare, known as Obamacare, our comprehensive immigration reform, and many different ways that we've been working on, trying to make immigrants more comfortable as they come into the U.S. and fighting for the laws that we need there. Very strong social justice in many different ways. Issue team, women's rights, which is called our Stand With Women group. And they are working with candidates. They're working on issues, on giving women's choice, etc., for their bodies, etc. Very strong fiscal and economic group who had their meeting last night. Went on for quite a while, but it was very well attended. Our electoral group, which thank God it's right now an off year, although people are already starting to do canvassing around the various Democratic groups. Our climate change group, which will have their meeting in August, they will have that a week from today, Tuesday night at 7 p.m. And then tonight, it is our Restore Our Democracy group, our 2 leads at Spire, and Jim McGrath. Jim has brought this program from Scott Britton, and it should really, really be good. Now, the secret sauce of NWSOFA is that we have all these issue teams and we have all these communications groups that constantly are promoting what the issue teams do, but it's not done by one person. It is done by a team of 27, all volunteers. Almost every issue team has 2 leads. They have a core group of about 400 or 500 members, and it's just neat to see this group in action. I say we started about 11 years ago. It was after Obama's 2012 election. 17 of us who were on the phones every Tuesday and Thursday nights went over to Panera Bread after Obama won and said, "What do we do next?" We decided that we would become a progressive organization in the Northwest Burbs. And it has been a nice growth. And we get great speakers, and tonight will be a good example of that. Jim, back to you.
Okay, thanks, Bill. Appreciate it.
All right, I think that's me. So first off, thank you so much for having me today. I'm a perfect example of what has changed in our area of Cook County, and in particular with our commitment to progressive politics. I retired a 20-year Republican incumbent 4 years ago. I just got reelected. I thought it was going to be very close. It wasn't, and that's a lot because of all the people who have been so helpful to me, particularly this group and other groups within the north and northwest suburbs. So I am Scott Britton. I'm your Cook County Commissioner for the 14th District, which goes from Lake Michigan to Inverness and most of the north and northwest suburbs. Very quickly, the county board, we always describe it as a stealth government because nobody really knows what we do. And our budget is almost $9 billion, so we do a lot of things. But we're the Cook County Health System, Cook County the safety programs, including the jail, the sheriff's office, the civil and criminal justice system, and we run the forest preserves, 74,000 acres now of green space. So you can go to the next slide. And what I've tried to do throughout my term, not only as a commissioner, but before that as a trustee in Glenview and then on the school board, as Bill has referenced and as Jim has referenced how important they are as well, I've tried to reflect as much as I can this concept of togetherness and that hate against one is hate against all. We've seen it, I think, increase exponentially over the last several years. I think we all know one of the reasons that is, mostly because what was once whispered in basements and in back alleys is now said directly, and it is something that I think we must stand against as elected officials and as citizens of this country, that we're going to reject this type of hate against anyone, whether it be racial, religious, LGBTQ, or anything else. And you can go to the next slide, Liz. So here's how this all started. Back in 2020, I was going to get my Sunday paper, and I saw a bag sitting on my driveway. It was like a sandwich bag filled with rice. As you can see in this picture, you can actually see the rice. And the rice is there so it won't blow away. And I found inside this bag the most horrible anti-Semitic information that you can imagine, pointing out that there are Jewish people in the Ukrainian government, that the Biden administration has a lot of Jewish people. And I picked this up thinking, what the heck is this crap? And, I am a Roman Catholic, but at the same time, I thought I was not willing to simply kind of let this go. I also felt like there was something maybe I could do to try to address not only this type of anti-Semitic hate, which is particularly odious, but all forms of hate that we have seen become more and more prevalent throughout our county and our country, and something that I think that all people of goodwill, can unite against, regardless of your political orientation. You can go to the next slide, Liz. And again, the message is real simple. Hate against one is hate against all. And what we've seen too much of recently is kind of the proliferation of the elements of hate, the swastika, symbols like that. So we designed this symbol, Cook County United Against Hate, with a very simple concept that is supposed to reflect tolerance, unity, and the ability of all people to understand that our differences are not what divides us, but it's what makes us stronger. And that's why this country was founded, so that people of different religions, backgrounds, races, colors can all unite together behind an idea. And that idea is that we are all in this together and that our liberties are worth defending. And so that's what I've tried to do as an elected official, and what I'm hoping to do through this organization, Cook County United Against Hate. You can go to the next one, Liz. So when people ask me what is the goal, well, my goal would be to eliminate bigotry, racism, and anti-Semitism. I have a feeling that's going to take a little bit of time, but basically what we're trying to do is disrupt discrimination, which includes enforcing the laws against things that can constitute discrimination within our political system. I'm also a lawyer, so I have some experience with this. To empower everyone to champion social justice, that means to stand together for those who are marginalized or those who are parts of groups that are being constantly harassed or discriminated against. And I'm the son of an educator. My dad was a school superintendent downstate, and catalyzing our educational system to provide ways that our schools and our libraries can be functional in disrupting hate and to preach tolerance and acceptance of others who may not be like us. You can go to the next slide. So one thing I would ask you to do, those of you who are on this Zoom tonight, go to the information that we have on the website, Cook County United Against Hate.com. There's a pledge there that will enable you to take a commitment. It's very simple, that we're simply not going to let people emphasize the differences between us, but we're going to try and unite together and to reject hate in all its forms. And also you can look at multiple different resources we have within the website that talks about ways that we can get involved to try to reject racism, bigotry, and anti-Semitism. Go to the next slide. And the symbol, again, is something that I think we're very proud of, that we've been trying to get all over. We're asking businesses to put it in their windows. We've had a number of different organizations that now use it on their social media sites, and the county has committed to it as well. You can go to the next one. The pledge is very simple. You pledge to actively learn from those whose experiences are different than mine, to question hateful acts when you see or hear them, educate yourself to disrupt hate whenever possible, support efforts towards social justice, inspires others. Take the pledge, and you can have the pledge. I won't make you all take it now, but that's something that I would love you to do, and you can sign up indicating you've taken the pledge on the website. You go to the next slide. Included in all of this is, unfortunately, I do feel sometimes like I'm putting my fingers in the dam as the leaks spring out, because if you can see, we have so many different aspects of hate. It's not just anti-Semitism, although it's particularly unpleasant, but we also are constantly dealing with homophobia, transphobia, which seems to be much more prevalent in our political discourse today than it has been in many years. And I can tell you this was significant to me yesterday, because my fiance teaches history in a private Episcopal school in California, because to further complicate my life. But so she lives there, and I don't know if anybody saw this. It was pretty prevalent in the news recently. But a woman was shot and killed recently because someone took offense at her pride flag. That woman is a parent of children that go to my fiance's school. And so when we talk about having this kind of affect you viscerally, that's exactly what we're dealing with. And then, the fact that within the last 3 years, we've had an increase in the state of Illinois, an increase of anti-Semitic events of 350%, really does reflect that this is a tremendously significant issue that is not going away without people of goodwill, again, uniting against it and to call it out. One thing that I always tell people is that there was a recent discussion with the Simon Wiesenthal Center, which is a partner of mine. They interviewed a number of students at Buffalo Grove High School who, Jewish students who, out of 18, 15 had experienced significant anti-Semitic incidents involving them. And just so that those young people can know, or if it's a trans youth at Glenbrook High School where my children went, if they know that all of us have their back and that we're going to reject those who would try to identify them as the other or as different, I think that we're making a significant inroad towards trying to eliminate this in our society. You can go to the next slide. This is just a kind of a glimpse of the groups that we've had united and who have taken the pledge. Religious organizations, I think all of the Cook County, including the Sheriff's Office and the Forest Preserve Police Department. I think almost every municipality in my district, and I have 24 municipalities in my district. I think all of those governments, or pretty much all of them, have taken the pledge. Arlington Heights has done so. Palatine has done so, I believe. And so I'm particularly heartened by the fact that our area has been committed to this, and we are rolling this out throughout the county. I tried to do it in the 14th district first, since that's where I am, but we're going to try and do that throughout the county. And then next year, my plan is to present on this concept to the National Association of Counties, because county government really is the kind of most direct contact with the people, kind of the government on the ground in many different parts of this country. And I think if we can have as many people sign on as possible, it's definitely a plus. You can go to the next slide. These are the governments that have also signed on. As you can see, it's most of my district, and we're going to keep rolling it out for the other parts of this county. We had our first United Against Anti-Semitism rally in Glenview. As you can see, we had a number of elected officials, including Congresswoman Schakowsky and President Preckwinkle, who was present for that. My good friend Kevin Morrison, who represents a lot of our area, was also present. That was the first of our activation events, and we've continued to have them. You go to the next slide. And again, we had many different leaders within our area stand up and to really indicate that this is a priority within your county government, your state government, and your federal government. And it was very, very positive to see it all coalesce in this first group of people we had rolling it out. You go to the next slide. We had a march against anti-Semitism in Niles, then in May of 22, where we had people again take the pledge, and we marched in the neighborhood, describing it in a very multi-role area of the county, how we're going to try and unite. You know, there's been a fair amount of anti-Arab sentiment that was also part of what we're trying to reject. We had some flyers posted here in Glenview a couple of years ago, I think when one of my kids was still in school, which was anti-Asian, which was a reflection of some of the comments made by the prior administration about the China flu and those types of things. So this is also a function of trying to call out those incidents as well. You can go to the next slide. One thing that I've been able to do is kind of unite with our resources within the county, not only the county, but in the country. Simon Wiesenthal has been one of my most productive partners, and they have had Jeff Scoop, who is the person in the middle, who's a former white supremacist, talk about ways in which we can try and stop this from being part of our children's lives. One of the most frightening things that I've done recently is, because I do supervise the sheriff's department, I was talking to their dark web group, which there is one, and they're monitoring gaming within youth culture, because gaming is being used when people talk about grooming. It's not trans people who are grooming, it's white supremacists who are grooming. They're trying to find a way to get through these games to get young people to buy into their view of hate and white supremacy. And Jeff was a former leader of a very large white supremacist group who now coordinates trying to find ways to reject that philosophy. You know, I believe in redemption myself, and Jeff's a perfect example of that. So that was a tremendous event we had in Northbrook. You can go to the next slide. And again, we continue our activation events. September of 22, we had another activation event during Cook County's Racial Equity Week. We're going to do it again this year. But I think it's another way we can try and keep this front of mind for people as we try to continue to roll this out throughout Cook County. You can go to the next slide. Our spring showcase was at First Presbyterian Church of Arlington Heights, one of my favorite places. And again, I say that as a Catholic, because they are so great in partnering with me on multiple different things, but they are a tremendous host where we brought different groups together to talk about ways that we can try and educate ourselves on these issues, but also that we can, particularly through our faith communities. And I have had meetings with the Archdiocese also as well, who I'm hoping will be official partners with us very soon, that we can try and to show that we are all in this together to reject this form of racism. Go to the next slide. And we have lots of different colors of our logo that we use for different months, including for Black History Month. But this is a video you can watch about what we've done for our showcase. to thank all of our great partners in putting this together, and particularly First Pres of Arlington Heights and the other groups that have been such a great part of this. If you haven't been to the Illinois Holocaust Museum, it was my first time, I'm embarrassed to say, was a function of Cook County United Against Hate. They are also a tremendous partner. So again, I noticed, I just saw in the chat, we had somebody take the pledge just now. Please do so. Explore the resources we have, and please commit in your communities, wherever you are, to disrupting hate in all its forms. It is incredibly important, and I wish it wasn't as something as prevalent as it is, but it exists, and it's something we have to stamp out as best we can. And I believe that is the end of our presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions about that or your Cook County government, which I am part of. And I now chair two of the bigger committees there, so I'm happy to share with you everything we have going on in the county or in county politics. I'm happy to answer.
Appreciate it, Scott. Thank you. Question, I saw in one of your slides that there was a yard sign in there. It's "We Stand With." Where, can you explain that? And where would we get one of those signs, or should we get one of those signs?
Yeah, so Jim, we're the county, so our budgets are always limited. So I've been trying to figure out ways that we can do that. You can go on and just print out the logo and the Cook County United Against Hate reference. That's one thing I would recommend you do. We're working on doing window clings that will be able to be available to put in your window. We're working on that as well, but that's all of that's a work in progress. But we're going to try and get people to be able to do that, particularly as we have our next rollout event, probably in September, October, where we'll do another activation, and we'll certainly share that with you and with Bill. So anybody who might want to participate can do so as well.
Another question. You talked about several events. Are they posted somewhere ahead of time? So if we wanted to attend and support this, we could do that with you.
Yeah, so we get most of that out through our social media. And then also, if you've signed up ever for my newsletter, which is, you can find me on, just look up Commissioner Scott Britton. It's easy to find. And you sign up for the newsletter, you can be aware of those events. We try to get that information out as best we can. I know that Daily Herald has been good about publishing some of that stuff. So I will try and get more information out to you. And we'll also obviously let you know, we cannot have political organizations as official partners because this is a government organization. So we have to be a little careful about how we do that, but we will definitely let you know when the next one is, and then we'll try and get it out to as many people as we can.
Scott, there was a question in the chat. Somebody was asking, Donna Showalter was asking, if she could use your quote, "Hate against one is hate against all." Can she use that on her Facebook page?
You absolutely can. I didn't come up with that, I think, but it's not copyrighted, so feel free.
Donna, go ahead, ask your question.
Thank you. Scott, first of all, I've thanked you before. I'm thanking you again for doing this. And as I have mentioned, and some people know this, I spent my career at Schaumburg High School, and it was a long one. And every year I experienced some sort of anti-Semitism, being one of the few Jewish people. And at the beginning, it was kind of tough to stand up to it and say something, but I've learned that it is so very important. And I was reminded of that yesterday at my book club when we were talking. We read a book about the Holocaust, and one of the women said, "I don't know why they allowed this to happen to them." And I was pretty stunned. And I said, you can't blame those that are being discriminated against. It is the people doing the discrimination, whether it's anti-Semitism, whatever it is. And I'm not sure that woman in particular heard me and understood what I was saying. But for me, it was saying, don't blame those people, us people, for allowing it to happen. It shouldn't have happened. And then things like that for me are ways that anybody, whether you're Jewish or not Jewish, I stand up for all sorts of different groups and people. And I really beg that everybody listening to this take it under consideration, because that's what's going to make the difference. Thank you.
Sure, Donna. And what I've always said whenever I've been speaking to groups, and I've spoken to a number of groups also during Black History Month, at least my take on it is, issues of white supremacy, racism, and bigotry are not an issue for African Americans. They're not an issue for Asian Americans. They're not an issue for the LGBTQ community, not an issue for Jewish people to fix. It's for people like me to fix, because it's people who I am associated with, people from my ethnic background who've done this. I have histories from my own past, from my ancestors who've done racist things. And I remember so distinctly, Donna, I was at a wedding many years ago, and I was standing in the like at the reception, and I was just talking to a group of people downstate where I'm from, and somebody used the N-word, and I was shocked because I just didn't hear that, and we it certainly wasn't said in my house growing up in a little farm community downstate. And it occurred to me, I didn't say anything at the time. This is probably in the 80s, but I regret not saying something, because I feel like, well, and again, if it came up again, I'd sure as hell say something, because that's what the responsibility I feel I have from my view on how this can be eliminated. It is not the people who are being marginalized; it's the marginalizers who must be addressed and called out, and their actions to be considered unacceptable to our society generally. And that's why I'm trying as best I can, and why I feel like the Archdiocese and the Christian organizations that we've been working on can do a lot to do that, because again, they're speaking to the people who are trying to say that this is done in their name when it's not. And so that, I think, is a huge part of what we're trying to do.
I'm just going to add, Bill, Chuck, and I were at a meeting this morning at Schaumburg Current Events, and one of the ladies there commented that, oh my gosh, she was at a McDonald's yesterday and nobody there looked like us. And I commented, that, ma'am, is a problem for all of us.
Agreed.
So, Jeffrey, go ahead. Ask your question.
I got two, actually. One question and one comment. I hope you don't mind, Scott.
Go ahead.
All right. Diane, first off, does it make you sick? Does it make you sick when hate groups use religion to justify their actions?
I think, particularly from my perspective as someone who, and by the way, my parish is right there. I live in the parking lot of my St. Catherine Labouré, so it's hard for me to miss mass. But I also feel like, yes, it makes me very sick that the Christian religion particularly has been twisted into something that I don't think it is, which is, it is all about inclusion and kindness and tolerance and love. And anybody who's trying to twist it into this exclusionary, racist, and violent, which is a complete contradiction to what at least I was taught. It is, I think, very upsetting for me, which is why I think our faith communities, which have gotten together in this way, has been such a tremendous aspect of what Cook County United Hate is all about. And it's not because I'm doing this. There are groups like the Children of Abraham. I don't know if anybody knows about this group, but it's actually run by, or one of the leaders of it is a Viatorian priest, and they bring together Jewish, Muslim, and Christian youth to try and reject, racism and bigotry in all its forms. So trying to make this a positive and to bring our faith communities together is hugely significant.
I like what you just said right there, that last part. But to help try to fix that, I'm working on something to try to submit to the UN called reversing, also known as crimes against religion, where it will be illegal for hate groups to basically use the religion to justify their legal actions. And also, I'm working on a special UN observance day, like you said, at the creation of International Day of Religions, where you know what you just said about Abraham, the children of Abraham coming together and all that stuff. That's a good, but it expands to all religions, because the purpose of love and all.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You think those are good ideas?
Sure. And if you, I actually follow the one of the social media for the United Nations. They've been doing a thing about rejecting hate themselves. I don't think it was because of me, but they're committed, as an institution to doing that. And again, I'm very aware as a lawyer that we do have a First Amendment, and if you want to be a racist in your heart, that's up to you. I think it's unfortunate. If you want to use your religion to justify it, that's your business. But when it then becomes a crime, we're going to prosecute it. When it becomes something that's going to be exclusionary, we're going to call it out. And I think that's also a big part of this. One thing that when we did a presentation through the Wiesenthal Center about the monetizing part of it was monetizing hate. If you go onto Amazon, you can buy swastika necklaces, which I was amazed at. And then I found out that it will then link you to other white supremacist type materials. And some of this is not as obvious as a swastika. Some of it uses that green frog emblem. There's other things that are reflective of racist and white supremacist groups that are not as obvious, but it's not being policed. And now with Twitter, I mean, Twitter is a nightmare of anti-Semitism and hate speech, and it has gotten exponentially worse since Mr. Musk took over. And I again, I'm not trying to censor anyone, but these are private platforms. There is no First Amendment right to publish your racist vile on Twitter, and that is up to our calling out to social media that we're not going to. I would say we should not frequent groups that are going to do those kinds of things.
And if I was rich, I would buy back Twitter from Elon Musk and then set it free.
Yeah, it's probably less than 45 billion
Jeffrey.
now, so you might be able to get a good deal on it.
So I've got another question for you, Scott. Ellery is asking, are you coordinating with the Anti-Defamation League?
So we have had incredible coordination among all different groups. ADL was one of the first people I reached out to. So yes, we just our most recent event was it was in league with the JCC at Wrigley Field, which was a great event. We were just a partner; it wasn't a Cook County United Against Hate event, but we brought together a bunch of different groups and participated with them. So the Jewish United Fund, West Simon Wiesenthal Center has been a big partner. ADL, and so a number of different groups, and I've been able to meet the Consul General from Israel, and it's been really a tremendously gratifying thing. And what I tell people all the time is that my legacy as a Cook County Commissioner is not going to be how many sewers I fixed or how many roads I repaired or the fact that we have a balanced budget almost. It'll be balanced eventually. But I think this is going to be the thing that I hope people might be thinking, Scott did something worthwhile here. So that's what we're trying for.
There's a comment in the chat from Judith Wilkes. She says, my impression of the Northwest suburbs is that it's not all that tolerant. Bravo to Scott for this cause, championing this cause. And I think what we're doing out here in the Northwest suburbs is just exactly what Scott is talking about. We are working on changing this. I can tell you the town that I live in Barrington, everybody thinks Barrington is a nice, pleasant town. When I go to the school board meetings, it is just exactly not that. Because the comment, now this just represents a small fraction of the people that attend the school board meetings. But I mean, Moms for Liberty, Awake Illinois, they are rooted right here in our area. And what we all have to do is what Scott is saying is stand up. You may get hateful tweets, you may get whatever. They're not going to hurt you. They're going to try to humiliate you and whatever. But you got to stand up. Otherwise, they win. And that's what happens. If we don't stand up, they win.
And that's the one thing that I thought about when I got this thing dropped off in my driveway, and it is weird having a neo-Nazi in your driveway. And I thought, well, I can just let this go. And I actually asked both ADL and Wiesenthal, should I not bring this to the light? Should I just let this go and not give them the time of day? And they said absolutely not. This is addressed by people addressing it, and that's what we're trying to do.
Thanks, Magda. You've got a question. Go ahead.
Yes, this is an amazing group, and really, Jim, I would like to work together with you in whatever we are doing as part of this anti-hate movement. I see that my temple is part of it, and I'm also involved tangentially with the Children of Abraham. But just as an information, it's wonderful that you guys are doing this in the Cook County. Are other places doing similar?
So one thing I've learned is that there are multiple groups all over the country who are doing something similar. What I think I've been trying to focus on is, and I have to be a little careful, I can be political here because this is not an official event. I'm not here officially in my government capacity, but I cannot do anything that's political when I'm doing the United Against Hate event because I'm specifically trying to not make this a partisan concept. However, counties are enormously significant in our government organizations. And there are counties that go to our annual meeting that deal with this frequently. And I have had many people, including Republicans, come up to me and say, yeah, this is something that we have to deal with in our county, in Texas or Florida or down. I mean, it's not like it doesn't happen here, because it does, but and it's even more prevalent there. I have not had really one person come up to me and say, well, I mean, and again, folks, if we can't get behind rejecting Nazis, what are we doing? I mean, it just seems like there's no reason why this can't be more broadly addressed. But then you have the current frontrunner for the Republican nomination meeting with Nick Fuentes and Kanye West not that long ago. I think on Easter, wasn't it? Wasn't it Easter? I just the mind boggles, because I just feel like this is something that is being perpetuated in part by one of our major political parties, and I know that the people I know, the Republicans of goodwill, are not going to get behind this kind of stuff, but not everybody is, and so I think we have to do everything we can to continue to call it out.
Thank you, Scott. Anybody else have any more questions?
One real quick.
All right, Jeffrey.
Do you, Scott? Do you have a Wikipedia page? Because I just found Scott R. Britton on there.
That's me. That should be my Wikipedia page. I have one.
Oh, I guess Cook County Board Commission.
That's him.
Bill, you've got a question.
Scott, is it okay if we send this out to our membership for them to we have a program called a 1 minute action, just to ask people just to go up there, hit that pledge. There's 4 boxes you fill in: first name, second name, email, zip, and you're done. I just did it. If it's okay with you, I would love to do that.
You can do that. What I cannot list you. This organization cannot be listed by me on my government site. You can list me all you want, send it to wherever you want. Talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, get everybody on board. That's perfectly fine.
Great, thank
you. And Scott, just to clarify, you don't have to live in Cook County to take the pledge.
You may take the pledge anywhere you wish. Absolutely. And again, maybe I'm biting off more than I can chew, but I did speak to one of the LA Board of Supervisors, are the equivalent of Los Angeles County's Cook County Board of Commissioners. I talked to one of their officials in Washington not too long ago, so I have talked to them. I've talked to JB Pritzker about getting behind what we can do, a more nationwide concept. And again, I think I'm trying to do this from a government standpoint, and so trying to get everybody on board is going to be a big part of this. But I also understand that everything's a process, and I wanted to kind of get all of us, the 14th district folks, on board, and then we can kind of roll this out. But by the way, the anti-Semitic literature that you've seen, that I showed on the screen earlier, has been distributed throughout the northern part of Illinois, and then this has happened in other states as well. The same type of literature. And what happens is they initially put out stuff that is more generic, but the second round, which I did not receive at my house, had pictures of our local legislators, including some of my friends who are Jewish, were specifically targeted in that literature. So that's how personal this stuff gets.
Just as an add-on to what Jim was saying about the meeting that we went to down in Schaumburg today, this group I've been going to for almost probably 8 years now. 7-8 years. In the past couple of years, I've noticed that they no longer even try to be careful about what they say. They just blurt it out, and they say it now with intensity. And Jim recounted one of those statements, but there was a number today of not only those people, but those that can't speak English, those that don't look like us, those that and it has intensified, and I am so glad that you are doing this, and I'm glad that Jim and the Rod Group is really backing this. And Jim, if it's okay with you, I'd like to send that out in the name of the Rod Restore Our Democracy Group.
Of course, and I hope everybody, after listening to this, continues to talk about it. And I think, Scott, you'd be willing to do this over and over again. So just contact Scott. all you have to do is Google Scott Britton, and it comes right up. He's right at the top of the search, and you can contact
For
him.
good or ill.
Okay, so I appreciate this. Liz, I want to ask, were you able to make that video that I play?
I was. I'm sorry. I think I sent it to Bill instead of sending it to you, but I'm happy to screen share it if you'd like.
Yeah, try that. So one of the
Let's do
things,
that.
yeah, one of the things that I am a big believer in is that what kind of things can bring us together. Music is something that can bring us together. And this video, I hope it plays. It is a video of musicians from across the world. When this video plays, look at the bottom. You will see the name and the country that they are from. It's just amazing how everybody can get together and do something together.
What key is it in, Robbie? F demented.
Pulled into Nazareth, I was feeling about 8:30. Just need some place where I can lay my head. Hey, mister, can you tell me where a man might find a bed? He just grinned and shook my hand. No, what's all he said. Take a load off Fanny. Take a load for free. Take a load off Fanny. Put the load right on me.
I picked up my bag, went looking for a place to hide. When I saw both Tom and the devil walking side by side, say, hey, come on, let's go downtown. She said, I gotta go, but my friend can stick around. Take a load of Fanny, take a load for free. Take a load of Fanny.
Put the load right on me.
Go down, Miss Moses, there ain't nothing you can say. Just so Luke, and Luke's waiting on Judgment Day. Well, Luke, my friend, what about young Annalie? Said, do me a favor, son, won't you stay and keep Annalie company? Take a load off Fanny, take a load for free. Take a load off Fanny.
Put the load right on me.
Crazy Chester followed me, and he caught me in the fog. He said, I will fix your act if you'll take Jack, my dog. I said, wait a minute, Chester, no, I'm a peaceful man. He said, that's okay, boy, won't you feed him when you can? Take a load off Fanny, take a load for free. Take a load off Fanny. believe it's time. Ooh, to get back to Miss Fanny, you know she's the only one who sent me here with her regard for everyone. Yeah. Take a load off Fanny. Take a load for free. Take a load off Fanny. Right on me. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes, and I agree with that comment. Every time I watch this, I can watch this over and over and over again. When we find something that we have in common, we can all play together. I thank you all for attending. Scott, thank you for a great presentation and for doing what you're doing. And I think we all need to keep this up.